This episode is sponsored by Dragon Shield. Check out the affiliate link down below to help support the channel.
Well, welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we talk about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
I'm Dylan.
And I'm Tyler.
And this week is the March of Machine set review for cEDH.
Well, I thought it was March of the Machine.
No. It's May.
No.
Oh.
No, you're right.
It's March of the Machine.
Not machines.
Not machines.
That's-
Only one.
I got
All
tripped
will be
up.
one. March of the Machine.
I wanted
it
to
makes
make
sense.
Oh, that makes sense because
Yeah.
it's all one machine.
What about the bog?
What's the bog?
The Marsh of the Machine?
Marsh of... No. That's something different, I think.
Marsh Flats of the Machine.
This is also something different.
Well, what we're going to be doing today is talking about all of the new cards from this new set that we think might have some sort of impact in cEDH. We're going to talk about a lot of different commander options this time as well, including the commanders that you'll see on Sunday's gameplay video too. But we're going to get started with the white cards in the set and go in Wooburg order to get started off here.
That sounds great.
Great. Beautiful. So the first card we're going to talk about is Surge of Salvation. This is a white instant that costs the white. It says you and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Prevent all damage that black and or red sources would deal to creatures you control this turn.
I'm sorry. Can you say it one more time? I was looking at your audio and it was a little bit. Can you just... I'm so sorry you're going to have to cut this. I wasn't listening to you because I was... Can you talk one more time? Are you talking? You look like you were too low.
Yes.
Cameron,
okay,
I
no,
wasn't
that's
listening
fine.
to you.
I'm so sorry. I wasn't listening at all.
That's going in.
That's great. I'm happy for you, but can you say it all again?
But I didn't read it at all. You and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Prevent all damage that black and or red sources would deal to creatures you control this turn.
This one's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's sort of like shitty Veil of Summer, which is
Yeah.
obviously the templating it's going for. The one thing that is really stops it from being very good is that it's creatures you control gain won't take damage from black or red, because if it was you and creatures you control, which is the Veil of Summer templating, then you don't die to things like Twin Caster combo.
Sure.
It still defends against most kill spells. Wait, is it hexproof too, or it's just
it's
damage?
hexproof.
Permanents you control get hexproof.
Yeah, so it's gonna answer most kill spells and your lightning bolts and that sort of thing.
It doesn't do anything on this stack, really, right? Like, it doesn't protect your spells. It doesn't do any... Like, Veil of Summer protects your things from being countered. This doesn't do any of that, right?
No,
Which
yeah.
is a big bummer,
Does
I
not
think.
help you fight on the
Yeah,
stack.
it's a big distinction, but it could come up in some decks.
Best answer to Fire Covenant? Probably.
Yeah, sure. There are some situations that this card will be great in, so I definitely wouldn't fault anyone for giving it a shot.
I think it's like a meta call, this one in
Definitely,
particular. Yeah, like I don't think I'm running this into a blind tournament, but if I know the people I'm going to be going up against, I'd be more inclined to play this if they play certain decks.
Yeah.
So the next card is Dusk Legion Duelist. This is 1 and a white for a creature vampire soldier that's a 2/2 with vigilance, and it says whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Dusk Legion Duelist, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. There's a lot of other cards I'm thinking about when I say Dusk Legion.
I don't know how often this is going to come up. I don't know what deck is going to play this card.
So junk decks, I think, are going to want it. And I mean the color
Abzan.
combination, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So the two I was thinking of, Gave now maybe has another way to draw an additional card per turn. And especially because Gave has ways that they can do that in instant speed, it's going to be a lot easier to turn that into an Ancestral Recall plus in a turn cycle.
Man, maybe this moves Gave from like a maximum 8 to a maximum 9. What do you think?
That's kind of where I'm at, right? So I don't know. One extra piece is probably not going to bring that deck up to like, now this is going to see, in top 16 levels.
Yeah.
But, it certainly is another piece that it needs in order to get there.
It's a 2-mana creature that can draw cards in white in the right deck. That'll be good. That'll be good.
The other one that I'm thinking about is Tayum. I don't know a lot about Tayum, but Tayum deals a lot with counters and putting them on creatures and then removing them from creatures. So if you're trying to put +1/+1 counters on things, and if you have a way, I guess I'm not as familiar with those lists, but that was just another counters deck that I was thinking of.
Interesting. Okay.
The next one is our first battle here. So this is Invasion of Theros, and I'm not excited that I have to read this sideways. So
I think if you click, no, never mind.
it
This is
still
good.
appears.
No,
It
yeah.
still appears sideways, even when you make it larger.
Yeah, this is better.
So this is 2 and a white for a battle siege. As a siege enters, and this Oh, I can read it
Reading's
like
already
this.
hard enough.
Hold up.
Try
wait.
doing it
There's
sideways.
a whole
Try the
regular
computer
way.
sideways. Yeah.
There's a whole
Karen,
regular way.
Damn it, you figured it
I
out.
think I couldn't fucking keep it together over here.
Though this is just less fun than holding the microphone
That's
sideways.
what I was saying.
Yeah, jeez, this is now really lame. As the siege enters...
Now you just read it normal.
Yeah,
Oy,
right? Oh,
boring.
man. As the siege enters, choose an opponent to protect it. You and others can attack it. While it's defeated, exile it, then cast it transformed.
Yeah, we have never seen any battles yet. This is the first set with battles. We have no idea how to rate them. At least I don't. I've never played with them, so it feels kind of hard to actually rate how good they are. Before we, I guess, get into this, how are your guys' overall thoughts on battles? What do you think?
I think battles are going to be like very interesting in cEDH because in casual, it's much more likely that someone has a board state where they can defend something. I think the whole reason that like Tymna decks are able to be successful is that very often people don't have good blockers. So you're probably going to be able to pick one player at a pod who just cannot defend this well, especially if it's an effect that your opponents also want you to have for whatever reason. If they're attacking it too, I think there's a reasonable chance that you take one of these down in a turn cycle. So if that's the case, then yeah, the back half matters. If it ends up being that it seems to be really hard to crack them, then probably we should only be reading them as a front side.
Yeah, that's exactly what my thought is too, because I'm at the point now where I only really want to evaluate the front side because I don't know how many times you're going to flip it. These are kind of like planeswalkers, but the difference with planeswalkers is that other players are incentivized to take out someone's planeswalkers, where I'm incentivized to not take out someone else's battle, so I'm going to actively attack players' life totals instead.
Yeah, I think it's also important to note that you want to actively take down your own battle. So I feel like commanders like Crom that can hit something for 4 with evasion, something like that. If you have a battle that has 4, is the loyalty? What is the
Battle points.
Battle points? I don't know.
It's loyalty.
Yeah, it's loyalty.
Let's not.
If it's got 4 loyalty and you're playing in your Crom deck, your Crom can one-shot and flip it right away. That might be relevant to think about when you're evaluating it.
I think something like that is very interesting, but I think that these are probably 4 specific decks if that's going to come up.
Yeah.
So this one, when Invasion of Theros enters the battlefield, search your library for an aura, god, or a demigod card, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle. And when you get to transform it, it transforms into Afara Ever Sheltering. This card has lifelink and indestructible as long as you control at least 3 other enchantments, Enchantment Craft, if you will. Whenever another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. So this says a lot of the right words on it.
I mean, the front, not so much. There aren't many decks that like must tutor for like a specific aura or god.
Yeah, the only reason I put this on the list is that sometimes 3-mana niche tutors will find a home in specific decks.
Idyllic tutor.
Yeah, exactly. Like if your combo piece is Curiosity, maybe you want to run this as an extra tutor that finds it. I'm not really sure. That's kind of the only reason. And then the backside is just like all theoretical plus side. Besides that, I think you only run this if you desperately need more ways to tutor for auras.
Can you play this in Sithis, or you can't because the backside is blue?
It has
The
blue in
backside
its
has
color.
So
blue in
you
it.
can't play this in Sithis,
which is a bummer.
Which is like really one of the only, because the other there's versions of this card that are also 1 mana and 2 mana that search for an aura, but don't have an awesome backside that they can flip into.
Yeah,
I guess.
and I don't know if there's a god or a demigod that's a combo piece yet, but one day there might
Heliod.
be.
Heliod.
Yeah, that's a perfect one. There
Heliod.
you go. This is probably great. And I don't know if this is. Well, you don't need to search for Heliod, but if you're running that combo in another deck, I don't know.
But you can't run this in the mono white Heliod deck. Like
Right,
you have
yeah,
to be in
exactly.
a blue white deck.
So if you
Yeah,
are one of the
future,
2 remaining players trying to make Light Paws a cEDH commander, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, no, this one's out. This one's out because Light was mono white.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, this one's out. Yeah, you thought, nope, you can't, not even this one. You
No.
thought you got a
Oh
toy?
my
Absolutely
God.
not.
Yeah, that card maybe not great. Let's move on to one that is great. Phyrexian Sensor. This is 2 and a white for a creature Phyrexian wizard 3/3. Each player can't cast more than 1 non-Phyrexian spell each turn, and non-Phyrexian creatures enter the battlefield tapped. For most purposes, 99.9% of the time. All stuff.
Yeah, that's all stuff. There's so few Phyrexians that I think see cEDH play. I guess a couple things got errata that I might not be thinking of right now, but what is something that has a Phyrexian that would see? Can we think of anything? Someone's going to comment something. You fools.
There's one deck that has a bunch of creatures that won't come into play tapped.
What is that?
Yuriko.
Well, because they're entering. They're entering.
Because they're shapeshifters.
Oh, they're shapes. Oh, okay, the shapeshifter. Okay, fine. For the most part, this is going to be a rule of law that also says all creatures enter the battlefield tapped. That could be really good. The only issue is a lot of times you're going to want to play this in a deck that's also going to be winning with Kiki-Jiki, and this shuts off Kiki-Jiki, which is kind of a bummer. So if you're not playing Kiki-Jiki and you are playing rule of laws, this is great.
The creature side is symmetrical.
The creature side is symmetrical.
Oh.
Yeah, everything, all creatures come in tapped. All non-Phyrexians. Maybe you can make your Kiki-Jiki a Phyrexian. I'm not sure. I don't think this is the case. This is just a spur thought. Is Gitaxian Probe? That's not a Phyrexian sorcery. They didn't errata that, right? Errata that? Because that would be fucking cool.
Ones that have
would be
a creature
tribal.
Yeah, exactly.
card.
Ones that have creature
okay.
identity
Yeah.
specifically say tribal, whatever.
So there's
okay.
two. I did a quick scryfall. There's two Phyrexians that see play, but it doesn't really matter if you're playing a Belby deck. Belby is a Phyrexian now,
Sure.
I guess.
Okay.
So, but now you're in a tough spot because you're playing Belby as your commander.
Yeah, it's already lame.
Body Snatcher is a backup Hulk piece.
Oh,
but
Body
that
Snatcher?
card
Oh, it doesn't matter if it's tapped or untapped.
because you're winning, and it doesn't matter. Chancellor of the Annex.
Oh,
if you're
also-
in mono white.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So it's for all creatures. All creatures come in tapped. Something to think about for Winota. It's another rule of law that Winota can find, right? Is a human?
It's not. It's a Phyrexian
Oh,
wizard.
well, it triggers for Winota.
Yeah, it triggers
No matter
Winota,
what,
yeah.
it's always good
But
as
it's a
Winota.
3/3, so it's got a really good body, so it's not going to be like as fragile as the 2/2
Right.
that you have.
Yeah, but it stops the Kiki combo, your own Kiki combo, which is bad.
Yes,
It does. I'm excited to see this though. More rule of law effects is good for my favorite deck to play. So
It's good for
I'm
Kinnan.
thrilled.
Yeah, you can play around rule of laws all day long. The creatures coming in tap doesn't super matter really for you. Like sometimes you'll want to block with your thing that you get off the top, but rarely.
Well, I'm excited for that one.
This one's definitely this one's definitely a top one for the. For this.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
want to mention like this is definitely like this card will see play in CEDH.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
I mean,
a lot
it's
of
almost
cards.
certainly the best CEDH card in the set.
Yeah, I would say we can do a quick roundup at the end, but this one's probably it.
All right, the next one is Heliod the Radiant Dawn. Speaking of Heliods, this is 2 and 2 white for a 4/4 legendary creature enchantment god. When Heliod the Radiant Dawn enters the battlefield, return target enchantment card that isn't a god from your graveyard to your hand. For 3 mana and a blue Phyrexian, it transforms into Heliod the Warped Eclipse, which is now a Phyrexian god that's a 4/6. And it says you may cast spells as though they had flash. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card your opponent has drawn this turn. Your opponents have drawn this turn. It's plural.
That was way too many words that you just said
well,
right there.
Get ready because this is like not the only flip card that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, what's this one doing? You've played against this deck a couple times. How do you feel about it?
On the front side does nothing, and then
Is the front side? Yeah, it's just a
the
blank.
front side does absolutely nothing. And then you, I mean, it's 4/4. It blocks.
Okay.
But then it flips into something that gives all of your stuff flash and drastically reduces the cost of spells you're casting.
Yeah.
So this allows you to play like X spells and some weird stuff like that, like big draw spells. Symmetrical draw spells get like weirdly much better. Like if you windfall on someone else's turn, which you can because you have flash, you're now able to cast things for like just the colored pips basically because your opponents have drawn a zillion cards. So it has really interesting effects. It is just so expensive to get there. So I've played against this a bunch. I think it is a strong deck once it's flipped, but the mana investment to flip it, I think, means it's still not quite top tier material.
I don't think the ability to space it out over multiple turns really helps. It's still 8 mana or 7 mana in 2 life.
It does really help. I mean, if it just said 8 mana on the front,
There's a cost to doing that. Like you don't get to hold up interaction.
Yeah, you take your whole turn off
Right,
normally.
like now you don't have a lot of other stuff to go off of then too. So I don't know. I think there is definitely a cost to it. So
Yeah, that flash playing at instant speed, that can be really powerful in like a tournament setting. If no one knows what the hell you're doing and you can play your whole deck at flash speed, I could see something like this deck sniping down a tournament, but then once everyone knows what it does, it's never going to win again.
Yeah.
For some reason, that's kind of how I feel about this deck.
unlike most gods that we see, there's no indestructibility clause on this whatsoever. So it's going to be a lot easier to deal with than like the other Heliod combos.
Yep, that's true.
But that's what we have to say about Heliod the Radiant Dawn. We're going to move on to our blue cards now. And our first one is Omen Hawker. This is
Any relation or no?
No. This is one who hawks. I'm just a hawk.
Just hawk.
Yeah, just hawk. Yeah. Omen Hawker is a creature cephalid advisor. It's a 1/1 and it taps to add a colorless and a blue mana that you can only use on activated abilities.
I'm going to pass the microphone immediately to Tyler to talk about this one.
I think there are exactly 2 decks that this gets played in. One of them is the card we just discussed because it flips Heliod and it comes down turn 1.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
that's
okay.
funny.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
okay,
Yeah, that's good.
The other one is Kinnan, and so I want to talk about anything that goes in Kinnan. The reason it matters, activating Kinnan is the point of many Kinnan decks, not all.
Yours specifically.
Mine specifically, sure. The other thing though is Kinnan's ability that generates an additional mana of any type that it produced does not copy the restrictions on the original mana. So if you drop this as a 1-drop and land a Kinnan turn 2, it is still tapping for at least 1 blue that can be used for anything in addition to the 1 and a blue for abilities. So it's adding a reasonable amount. I'll have to bear it out in play testing. I'm not positive it's going to always feel good, but 1 mana dorks are pretty strong.
I think, it's going to be great. Like with Kinnan out, at minimum, this is a mana dork that taps for blue, a 1 mana mana dork that taps for blue, right? And then plus, it's also going to activate your Thrasios, activate your Kinnan, everything that you just said. I think this card in Kinnan is going to be great. And then also, like you said, in other decks, even in Thrasios decks, I'm not sure that this one...
meh on it in Thrasios decks, because it is really helpful, but so is Training Grounds, and this is basically Training Grounds, but so much worse.
If you're like a turbo Thrasios, I could see trying this, but it's much better in a Kinnan deck, I think.
I think it's the only one. If this was good enough for a Thrasios deck, so would Boreal Druid.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
and Boreal Druid isn't there,
right?
And I would rather play Boreal Druid because I can use it to cast other spells instead of only activate Thrasios.
Yeah,
that's great. Okay, well, Kinnan gets a new friend, and we're gonna move on to a card that is gonna be friends with a lot more.
Kinnan gets a new friend.
Yeah. Fairy Mastermind is the next one. This is 1 in a blue for a 2/1 Fairy Rogue Flash Flyer, and when an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. You can also pay 3 in a blue to have each player draw a card.
I think this card is playable. I don't know. It's getting a lot of hype recently. It looks a lot like a lot of other cards that are very good. It's an evasive attacker. It draws you cards off of other Rhystic Studies and Mystic Grimoires. I don't think it's going to draw you a ton of cards. Most Mystics and Rhystics, I truly feel like, are only fed once a turn. There are situations where someone overfeeds, and this is definitely a card that once there are too many Rhystics in play and everyone's just like, fuck it, yeah, there's 4 triggers, everyone draw, that's when this card really starts picking up a lot of steam. That activated ability, I don't think that's going to be something that we're going to be using a ton.
It's almost card advantage. It's almost card advantage.
Excuse me.
Well, you might.
Maybe infinite mana decks that need an outlet where they can draw their entire deck.
I guess but you draw everyone else's decks too.
About that.
Right,
yeah.
but if you have the most cards in library, and then you just draw on the stack until everyone else dies.
Yeah, I guess if you have the most cards in library, it's good there. The card is definitely going to be good. I'm just not sure how good it's going to be yet.
I think right now I'm evaluating it as a hair better than Ledger Shredder, just a little bit. And Ledger Shredder isn't card advantage. This is, but just less frequently than Ledger Shredder probably triggers.
The other thing is that there are a couple of popular card draw engines that I don't think will trigger this a ton. Like, I don't think Esper Sentinel is going to end up triggering this a ton. I don't think, like, Crom is going to end up triggering this a ton. I'm excited to see this in Blue Tim the decks, and I do agree. I think it's, like, a little bit better than Ledger Shredder, but I don't think it's going to, like, bust anything or be the best new thing.
It also stops the Thassa's Oracle win. Did we say that? I said that in my head, but I didn't know if I said that out loud.
We did.
Very important.
It stops. Yeah, that's not going to happen a ton, but it is a threat. You have to leave a 4 mana, and that's hard to do in cEDH. Leave a 4 mana just to threaten this. But if someone goes for Thoracle win, exiles their library, Thoracle trigger on the stack, you can make them draw a card with this, and then they'll die.
It's worth saying though, then that doesn't work if Tainted Pact is the thing, because they can leave one at the bottom.
They can play around it.
The other thing that I want to say is that people are going to say this card is great with wheels, but wheels fucking suck. So
many people disagree with you, but I agree with you.
Right? Yeah. So here we all think that wheels fucking suck. So that's not an upside. That's a downside. I have to play more wheels.
Wheels to me are like an unnecessary evil. I feel like they can be powerful in certain situations, but sometimes they'll just straight lose you the game.
I think wheels are really good if you deploy them judiciously, and fucking no one does.
Yeah,
no one.
Nobody does. Really hard to play them right
at the wrong time all the time.
All of the time. All of the time. That's a separate podcast.
Yeah, that is a
That's a whole separate
It's a
podcast.
whole other
yeah.
thing.
All right, we're gonna move on to Rona, Herald of the Invasion. You guys want to hear me monologue for a second?
Please, yeah.
All
See you in
right.
20 minutes.
This is a legendary creature human wizard that costs 1 and a blue. It's a 1/3, and whenever you cast a legendary spell, untap Rona, Herald of Invasion. You may tap Rona to draw a card, then discard a card, and then you can also pay 5 mana and a Phyrexian black to transform at sorcery speed to have her become Rona Talarian Obliterator. This is now a Phyrexian wizard that's a 5/5 with trample. And whenever a source deals damage to Rona, that source's controller exiles a card from their hand at random. If it's a land, you may put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, you may cast it without paying its mana cost.
Oh my god.
It's exhausting. You're saying it in so many words.
I did not retain most of
it's
that.
hard.
No. Okay, so couple notes. This
yeah.
is
Can you read it again?
No.
Absolutely
no.
not.
So I think this is the new best blue-black scepter deck.
Every set, something
Every set-
comes out.
yeah, there's
And
a
we're
new one,
This
right?
deck that doesn't see play anymore, there's an updated, better
There's
version
an
of it.
and it's still not going
And
to
it
see
still
play.
sucks.
So you can draw your whole deck with
Loot
the
through your
scepter.
deck.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
You don't
Loot
even
through your
draw the
whole-
cards. You loot them. So
Loot
if
through-
you can only end with however many you start with.
That's also true. This also cracks Doomsday Piles if you need it to.
What this does is it combos with Mox Amber and this other enchantment that I can't remember right now that maybe Cameron will put on screen.
You sent it to me on Twitter.
I
Give me
sent
2
it to you. Yeah,
seconds.
it's on Twitter that I saw someone who tweeted at us what it did, but it effectively allows you for only 2 mana and an untapped Rona. Is that what this card is called? Rona?
Rona, yeah.
2 mana and an untapped Rona. You can loop that and Mox Amber, tapping it to bounce the Mox Amber back to your hand and triggering Rona when you recast the Mox Amber to loot through your whole deck.
Banishing Knack.
Banishing Knack.
It's an Eventide common.
Would you mind saying
And
what
it's
it
not
does?
an enchantment. It's
It is-
an instant.
Is it instant? Oh, I thought it was an enchantment for some reason.
It says
That's
until
better.
end of turn, target creature gains tap, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand.
Yeah. Is that something?
Yep, and then Wishclaw Talisman is another card that you can use so that you can use it, tutor, and then bounce that with this.
Oh, that's something. Yeah, okay, sure. There's some nifty things that you can do in this deck that can play Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation, so it's...
Plus, I mean, it attacks on a very different axis than most cEDH commanders in that, much like Perplexing Chimera, it's just so confusing that your opponents will give up because they cannot read that many words.
There's too many words.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
It doesn't even do that much. It's
They
just
will
a
just
lot of
look
words.
at it and then say, can you just tell me what it does?
Yeah.
And then you can lie.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have read the
Don't
back.
do that. Don't do that.
I should have read the back. I don't know why I bothered.
Yeah, well,
We-
yeah, I already
we
forgot
didn't
what the
talk
back
about
does.
it at all.
Yeah, the back
Alright.
is nothing, right? That's not part of this at all.
No, if you have the mana, and nothing else to do, that's what you're gonna do.
But you want to loot with this deck, right? You want the front
That's
side.
what I want. Yeah, I want a Merfolk looter. Invasion of Segovia. This is our second siege, our second battle siege. It's 2 and a blue, and it also has 4 loyalty. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 blue Kraken creature tokens with trample. And when it flips, it's now Cadius, Sea Tyrant of Segovia.
Cadus.
I was so proud. I was like, I haven't mispronounced a word yet, but it's Cadus. Sure. Non-creature spells you cast have Convoke. And at the beginning of your end step, untap up to 4 target creatures. Oh, wow. I forgot about that last part. It's a 3/3 now, too.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if this is good enough. This is one that I truly don't know how to evaluate because I'm not sure how these battles play out. What I'm thinking in my head is perhaps this goes in a Crom deck. Perhaps you know that you can flip this right away. So what if it just basically says that once per turn, an instant or sorcery, is that what gains Convoke or non-creature?
Non-creature.
A non-creature costs 2 less once per turn because you're given the ones that you can convoke for it. So that's kind of what this does at a minimum for 3 mana. I don't know if that's good enough, but the fact that you can make your things much less than that, maybe you can help pay for an ad nauseam, maybe you can untap to keep your Crom as a blocker for the Winota deck or something like that. What do you cut though? That's the big issue. Like in a blue
That's my thing.
in a Crom blue farm deck, I don't know what the hell you could cut for this card.
Like, I feel like those are the commanders that this synergizes the best with.
Yeah.
Crom kills it immediately, and Tymna can use those bodies better than almost any other commander in the format.
Right.
But, again, you're right. What do you untap?
Untapping the creatures and giving them Convoke is good, but I think this is still just worse Wilderness Reclamation.
Yeah, and Wilderness Reclamation sees no play.
It's not
right?
good. Yeah.
It may be in high power. This card is great in high power, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I just don't
Yeah,
know
spell
how
slinger deck, sure.
I just don't know how good Convoke is in general in
Yeah.
cEDH. I feel like Stacks decks want to use it the most, I would think, because they're not wanting to attack with creatures and lose them, and also not block with creatures and lose them unless they can do so advantagely.
I think Convoke is another thing. That's
Advantagely?
definitely. I'm just gonna move past it real quick before anyone really notices. But I think Convoke is another thing that's a little bit tricky to evaluate, because a lot of the Convoke spells that we've had in the past don't do a ton. But there are some Convoke spells in this set that we're not even going to talk about today that are like straight up removal spells that can be free if you have untapped creatures.
True.
That's probably going to be good. We're probably going to miss on some of that. But
We'll see.
This is going to make some spells free, and that's going to be good. Making your counter spells, your Swan Song now just tap one of your blue creatures that you made for it. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
We got to move on. We're going to talk about Infernal Sovereign next. This is 4 and 2 black for a creature demon 6/6 with flying and trample. It says skip your draw step, and whenever you play a land or cast a spell, you draw a card and you lose a life.
Yeah, so this is next in the line of the black big spell that draws you a lot of cards at a cost of a lot of life. I think this is similar to Bolas's Citadel. You can whiff on it, which is why I say that. Peer into the Abyss and Ad Nauseam are other versions of this effect, but you can't really whiff on those. You just draw all the cards. This is kind of like Yawgmoth's Bargain,
yes.
Where you it's a 6 mana thing that you have to skip your draw step, which is what Yawgmoth's Bargain says.
Yawgmoth's Bargain just lets you pay one life to draw a card right then and there.
Yeah, this is comparable to Bolas's Citadel, I think, like I said, because you can whiff. The difference is this one, if you have cards in your hand, you know you can start the chain, whereas Bolas's Citadel, you have to make sure that you have a Sensei's Divining Top or something that can control the top, or you're just going to go in blind.
Yeah, this is going to be easier to combo off with on its own than Bolas's Citadel.
I will say, unlike Bolas's Citadel, because you're not looking at the top, you're just drawing into it, this does not play super nice with Necromancy. Like, they're not bad to have on the field together necessarily, but Necromancy plus this does not do anything
Do you mean
remarkable.
Necropotence?
Yes, that is what you mean.
I said Necromancy,
I
didn't
was
I?
like, you want Necromancy, because if Necromancy's on the field, that means you reanimated this.
Which is good, yeah.
Which you do.
Necropotence,
You very
yeah.
much want to reanimate
Necropotence,
this.
yeah.
Necropotence can reset the Bolas's Citadel. It can't reset this card.
But like that makes Bolas's Citadel like a 2-card combo, where like this is easier to 1-card combo with.
Yeah, well, not
I
even
would
though, because
say.
you need a lot of other cards in hand to be able to chain them all together, I would say.
True. It is also easier to reanimate this than Bolas's Citadel. I don't know. I think this could be better than Bolas's Citadel.
I think it's going to go into the Grixis turbo decks, and only the turbo decks that are already trying to play like 5 spells in a turn. Mostly thinking of Rogsai here.
Yep. I think I could also consider this in a reanimator deck where you're trying to reanimate Razakath, but sometimes you don't have a creature in play yet, and you just want to get something big in play because you have all these spells in your hand. There might be those situations where you're like, I have the Entomb Reanimate, but I got no other creatures. Maybe this is like the alternative that you go to besides Villas. You know what I mean?
The other thing about Citadel is that you have to cast the spells in the order that you have Citadel into.
Right.
And this doesn't let you do that. Like, this allows you to be a little bit more flexible with the sequencing that you do.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so we'll see what it does.
a
We'll see
big
what
maybe.
it does.
It's a big maybe,
It's a
I would
big
say.
maybe. I think some decks will play it and like it, and I think a lot of decks will play it and hate it. The other card that some decks will play and really like is Hordeling Broodlord. This is 5 black for a 7/6 creature demon with Convoke and flying. And when it ETBs, search your library for a card, exile it face down, and then shuffle. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may play it.
Yeah.
So it's basically a tutor. It also says spells you cast from exile have Convoke.
Which is pretty relevant with what it does. It's similar to Rune Scarred Demon. It's a big demon that tutors for one thing. There are some Corvold decks that use Rune Scarred Demon. You search for the thing that destroys it and makes 2 copies of it. It's a new
Saw in
spell.
half.
Saw in half
Yeah.
to tutor for 2 other things and win the game from there. This can do the same thing. This can make the thing that you get more cheaper, which is nice. This is a little bit easier to hard cast because you can convoke your other things and cast it for like 3 or 4 mana maybe sometimes. Could be free, probably not going to be. Whereas Rune Scarred, you always have to reanimate it or cast it for 1 billion. The issue is this one folds to Drannith Magistrate, which is the most common white card, and he's play all the time, and that's going to suck when that happens, right?
Yeah,
You're just like, ah,
that's
shit,
true.
stupid fucking thing.
Yeah, I guess I've really only thought about the upsides about the card being exiled, but like there's really no hard discard in cEDH, and there's much more opportunities to get blown out with Drannith Magistrate.
Prosper, the Rakdos deck that plays a bunch of stuff from exile. This helps with all those things that are played from exile. If you're casting anything from exile, there's probably other stuff that does that in the format that I can't think of right now that allows you to cast things from exile. This works really well with all of those things, not just the thing that it searches for. So I think this is awesome. I mean, we got the fact that we got 2 considerable reanimation targets or just like big beefy creatures. I think that's awesome.
You can Eldritch Evolution like Tasigur into it too.
That's also
which is something else to think about.
Anytime you see 7 drop.
I know. I'd rather do Hullbreaker Horror though.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, we're gonna move on to our red cards. We have a lot of red cards to talk about. Real quick, Lymphomantic Barrage is a red mana sorcery that can't be countered, and it deals 1 damage to a creature or planeswalker. But if that creature is white or blue, it deals 5 damage. Kills Winota, kills Crom.
Wait, that's what the card does?
That's
it deals
what the
1
card
damage
does.
or 5 damage?
1 damage to a creature, but if the creature is white or blue, it deals 5 damage.
Dude, I don't know why I thought it was just a 5 damage thing. I completely read that wrong. It doesn't not going to make too much of a difference.
No.
But, okay.
It's
Guys,
not
they
great.
put a lightning bolt, but better.
No, it's not great, and some decks we're still going to want to run Galvanic Blast, and this is only sorcery speed. We're going to move on. We're just talking about that one real quick.
Rending Volley?
Stinky.
Rending Volley
Rending
is the
Volley is
other
much
one.
better.
It's
Rending
instant
Volley is the other
speed.
one.
The big things that this is going to hit is Crom and Winota, and Rending Volley hits those things too.
All right, Invasion of Call Time. This is 3 and a red for our next battle siege. It has 4 loyalty again, and when it ETBs, exile all cards from your hand, then draw that many cards. Until the end of your next turn, you may play cards exiled this way. Let's stop here for a second. So that we remember everything that the cards is going to say. How do we feel about the front side so far?
What I'm thinking in my head is you add nauseam for a bunch, but you didn't quite get there, and you somehow found this, and you exile those 30 cards, and you draw 30 fresh ones, and then with those, you've doubled your ad nauseam now. Is that good?
I think it's good, but you need to get enough fast mana to be pulling this off for 4.
Yeah.
And if you have that much fast mana, like, you should be able to have a victory most of the time for 4 from the rest of it. So I don't think you run it just to hedge against that possibility, because it's still taking up one of those card slots, and it costs 4 in an Adnos deck.
Yeah.
Bergie, on the other hand, like, this is a card that Bergie loves, like that kind of red storm, like, sure, really, really great in those.
Scroll Rack also does this similar effect for much less mana. You can't use the cards you separated, but a lot of the times if you add nauseam, there's like 20 cards you're not going to be able to use anyway. So I think this is probably worse than that, but just like, it was just something that I thought about, an option maybe.
If you're curious about what Pyre of the World Tree does, it's an enchantment. That's the backside of this. And it says discard a card. It deals 2 damage to any target. And whenever
Discard a land card, I think, right?
I'm sorry, you're right. It's discard a land card. So it's much worse. To deal 2 damage to any target. And whenever you discard a land, exile the top card of your library. You can play it this turn.
So I'm sure there's a way to kill your opponents with this. Discard a bunch of lands and, use endurance to put them back into your library, draw them again, discard again.
Sure, if you're on an endurance loop, I mean, just if you do the simple math though, like most decks run like about 30 lands or a little less. The total maximum lands you can do is 60 damage worth of discarding land. So I don't think you can assume this is a winning out.
No, yeah, you'd have to loop it somehow. You'd have to loop it with Time Twister or Endurance, put the lands back in your library, draw them again. And at that point, you're going through like a lot of steps.
That's a lot.
If you're doing something like that, a loop like that, normally your commander can utilize the loop, so you don't need something else in your deck that does it. But I don't know. Maybe?
No,
maybe not. Okay, it's not gonna play. It's bad.
All right, Urbrask is our next card. This is 2 and 2 red for a legendary creature, Feroxian Prater. It has first strike, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 1 damage to target opponent, and you add red mana. You can exile it for a red mana and to transform it, but only at sorcery speed and only if you've cast 3 or more instant or sorcery spells this turn. Let's talk about this side before we talk about the back side.
Bergie, before mana.
This is very powerful.
Yeah, with also kind of like a grape shot attached to it.
It is not all spells, not like Bergie.
Right.
But
Okay, yeah, that's
which
true.
is relevant because like
that's a big difference.
fast artifact mana is part of the way Bergie really gets ahead. But
And what the infinite combo with Bergie was like Grinning Ignis, which is a creature. So like this wouldn't be able to just like drain someone out.
Yeah, no, but that effect is strong. 4 mana creature to have that effect is kind of lame, but the ability is still a powerful one, I think.
So like as a commander, this is going to do something. Is it going to do something in the 99?
Does Kark and Sakashima want this? That's the only one that I can think. Like Kark and Sakashima is going to bounce spells and kill its opponents and make a ton of red mana while it does. This feels kind of expensive, but like mana wise,
maybe Niv Mizzet too.
Maybe Niv Mizzet too. Yeah, any of the Spellslinger decks could definitely consider it. If you're already playing Bergie in the 99, maybe you think about playing this.
Well, let's think about this backside here, because Bergie also has a backside that is very relevant and helpful to the decks that run Bergie in the 99. This one does some different stuff. So it flips over into a saga that's called the Great Work, and Chapter 1 says that it deals 3 damage to target opponent and each creature they control. Chapter 2 makes 3 3 treasure tokens. And chapter 3 says until end of turn, you can cast instant or sorcery spells from any graveyard. If a spell cast this way would be put into a graveyard, exile it, and then you exile the great work, then return it to the battlefield front side up. I didn't know that.
It comes back.
I didn't know that it just comes back as...
All of these Prater templates do, all 5 of the colors.
Oh, okay.
This is nuts. I mean, you flip it over, it Anger the Gods, it creates 3 treasures, and then it Mnemonic Betrayals, but better?
Not
It's a
Anger the
one
Gods. It
player.
kills one player's.
It's
Oh,
one
it's one. It's
opponent.
target opponent.
It's a
That's
target
less good.
opponent.
That's less
So
good.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if it is much less good,
No, it's still powerful. It's going to kill the things you want.
but it doesn't hit your own stuff, which
Yeah,
is what's
that's helpful.
relevant.
I would, to me, Bergie's backside is a little bit better, and I think I'd still rather play Bergie in the 99 because it's less mana, so ad nauseam's much more relevant there, and the backside also is much more synergistic with Underworld Breach, as you're getting to discard to exile the top 2 cards of your library.
Bergie needs something else to do anything on the flip side. It has to be able to discard cards, whereas this does something on its own on the flip side, but I agree what it does on the flip side isn't as powerful, but it can create from nothing where Bergie can't.
Like the Mnemonic Betrayal ability at chapter 3 is really cool, but you also have to live another 3 turns.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is
Bergie can win
this
in
is
that
an eternity, right? You have to like play the front of this card, hit your 3 instants and sorceries in a single turn, which you may be generating enough value that this is reasonable to do in a relatively short amount of time.
But you still probably have to untap.
Right. Then it flips. Chapter 1 triggers and kills one player's stacks pieces maybe. If you do that, then you're getting other people out from stacks and having to pass the turn, wait for it to go to chapter 2, wait for it to go to chapter 3. Like this is a long time to get that effect, even if it's very powerful.
All of the stacks pieces prevented you from playing 3 instants and sorceries in one single turn too, so you don't even have the opportunity to flip this in the scenarios that you want it to.
I would say it's arguable that if you can cast 3 instances of sorceries in one turn, you're probably in a good position. You're probably winning or close to or favorable. So doing the extra stuff, I agree. You're not going to need
Maybe
as much.
I would say as a commander, I would want to play this over Bergie, but in the 99, I want Bergie over Urbrask in the decks that run Bergie.
Yeah, I could see that. Bergie is like a combo piece and works so well with the fast mana, like you said, where this doesn't. I'm not sure, honestly. I truly don't know, but I know this card does powerful things. I don't think it's as strong as Bergie.
I mean, I think it's certainly a deck we're gonna see people playing. It's not.
Worth trying. Worth trying for sure.
Worth trying. All right, the next card is Path of the Pyromancer. So this is from the Commander set. It costs 4 and a red for a sorcery that says discard all the cards in your hand, add red for each card discarded this way, then draw that many cards +1. This also has an ability called Will of the Planeswalker because this set delves into the Planes Chase shenanigans. We're not, so...
What does it do?
Starting with you, each player votes for Planeswalk or Chaos. If Planeswalk gets more votes, Planeswalk. If Chaos gets more votes or the vote is tied, Chaos ensues. All right, I guess this is relevant because even in cEDH we would still have to see if Chaos is going to ensue.
What happens when Chaos ensues?
The planar die has a Chaos one and a one or more Planeswalk faces, if you remember the 6-sided die.
I remember. What is the Chaos
The
thing
Chaos
do?
effect, each plane in the Plane Chase deck has a Chaos effect, which is basically a triggered ability that if you roll Chaos, then you activate the Chaos effect of that plane.
We should still have to roll the plane or die every time we do this, and then whatever it does, we don't do anything.
Well, there's a 2-mana mana rock that taps for 1 that says roll the plane or die, and
that's true. Nobody plays it, but
what would happen when Chaos ensues it as cEDH player? Would we all just go
yeah, we would just move our arms a little bit, yeah.
and then back to okay. Sorry, keep going.
Or maybe someone makes a spite player,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is like a one-sided wheel that also gets you a little bit of mana. How many cards are in your hand when you're casting this?
Yeah, I see. I don't know. So say you do this for 3, you discard 3, you gain 3 mana, you draw 4 cards.
And now the four cards I drew have to be worth the 4 mana.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's 3 mana.
3
you
red
get
mana
3 red mana off this.
You guys are evaluating this the hardest way possible.
How do you evaluate it?
If Neheb had haste, would you play him in cEDH?
If what had haste?
Neheb.
Oh.
The one that attacks,
Oh.
discard any number of cards, draw that many, you add that much red, doesn't empty as phases continue.
Sure.
If he had haste, would you run him in cEDH?
Yeah, no, probably not.
No, then we don't run this card.
Would Bergie or Urbrask want this card though? Like, do they want another wheel effect?
for 5.
It might. It
What
makes
if-
the additional mana.
What if you do this after ad nauseam? You discard 30 cards and make 30 red mana.
What if you
draw
play?
31
What if you
cards?
play a questionable 5-mana spell in an Adnos deck and just eat 5 for it and go, oh, good, I'm
This
glad I
is
do this one.
5% of the time you'll love it, and 95% of the time it's gonna suck.
This is the new character I'm working on. Guy who thinks that spell is good after ad nauseam. If I have 30 cards in my hand, this card's really good.
Is this supposed to ad nauseam card?
As I'm sorting my ad nauseam cards, I put this in the front and all the fast mana in the back. Where
All right, great. Well, I'm glad you got a both 4 and 5 drop for your ad nauseum deck.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
can't wait to see this being flashback in Kess.
Yeah, I should just run ad nauseam and Kinnan. Honestly, with all those 11 drops, it's gonna be great.
All right. Speaking of a really expensive spell, Thalia Primal Conqueror is a legendary creature, elder dinosaur that's a 7/7 with trample. When it enters the battlefield, each player exiles the top card of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among the non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. For 9 and Phyrexian, it transforms into a trample indestructible 11/11 that deals combat damage to a player with poison counters.
Why doesn't it have infect? Or the poisonous or
They
toxic?
don't do infect anymore.
What about poisonous?
Why doesn't it say toxic? Is that what you're asking?
Because this isn't infect, because it doesn't give -1 counters when it deals damage to a creature. Is this poisonous? Is this the text for poisonous?
This is the text for toxic, isn't it?
No, because toxic needs a number value afterwards. I think
This would be the
poisonous.
text for Toxic 11.
Yeah.
No,
because
because
it,
Toxic
oh, no,
11
you're wrong.
because
It deals trample.
it does
would deal
however many
11,
does.
yeah.
Yeah. I think poisonous is worded that way. If
I
it deals
think
damage to a player,
maybe,
it deals them
yeah.
that many -1 counters. I'm kind of bummed that they didn't give this poisonous. I think that would be funny if that is what poisonous does. We're not playing it for the backside though. in
No, we're
cEDH.
playing it. Actually, we're probably not
We're not
casting
playing it
the
at
front
all.
side at all.
It combos a food chain. That's all. It combos a food chain. And once you get the food chain combo with Squee, you can loop this again and again and exile your opponent's libraries, play them if you want, or just pass a turn because they have no library.
So now we have a rug food chain deck, and this is not the best food chain commander we're going to talk about. So
this is a red-green. We have a rug later
It's
that we're
just
going to be
red-green.
talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
because-
spoiler alert! Oh, I'm so sorry, everybody. I ruined the podcast.
Oh, we got to start over. Start the whole thing
welcome
over.
to Play to Win, where you play to win. All right, next card.
Next card,
All right,
yeah.
I'm excited to talk about this one from the commander set. Dance with Calamity. This is a 7 and a red sorcery that is also really good in an ad nauseam. No, it's not. It's a red ad nauseum. Shuffle your library, and then as many times as you choose, you may exile the top card of your library. If the total mana value of the cards exiled this way is 13 or less, you may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana cost.
I love this card, and most of the reason is that Scheherazade is banned, and this is the only one that allows you to play a minigame within the game, and the minigame is Blackjack.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought.
It tells you
Hit
you
me,
must play
hit
Blackjack.
Me, hit me, hit me.
I want to play this card in a deck that only has a total CMC of 13 besides this, and it's all mountains and 0 drops and fast mana, and you cast this, and there's some number of cards that win you the game after resolving this. That's the only way I want to play this card.
And what are those cards where you have already paid 8 and still can generate more mana?
No. You get to your 8th land drop.
See, I have it.
You get Mana Crypt also,
Yeah, that's
right?
true,
Then
yeah.
you get it Chrome Mox. You don't have a ton that you can get rid of the Chrome Mox, but your Mox diamonds are always on because you play like 80
Yeah.
lands probably. I think it'll be great.
I think, and the commander is just Rog and nothing else.
Yeah, just Rograk. It's just Rograk. So you can play Mox Amber, of course, 1 turn earlier.
See, I think this could be like a Godo card. Like if you can get to 8 mana,
8 mana
and you
ritual.
can, right? It's an 8 mana ritual
can
that gives you
maybe-
3 mana, right?
Maybe. You don't even know.
Because if you can hit enough fast mana off the top of your library in Godo, like if you build your deck in a way, if it's supposed to be all mana to get to 11.
What if you just build Godo and you play this and you only have like Helm of the Host and fast mana? So sometimes you cast Godo or sometimes you cast this. And then you get.
And then you still pay the equip
Then you
cost.
still-
That's the
Okay,
thing,
no,
you have
yeah.
to pay the equip. That's why I like
It
about
searches
playing
for the
it in a
helm.
Godo
Yeah,
deck
it's not
that
good.
already has all of the mana in it.
This card's not good.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
card sucks.
We're evaluating this like it's peer into the abyss, which is what it would have to do for it to be okay at this
Yeah,
much
and
mana.
Yeah, this is no peer into
And
the
you
abyss.
destroy your deck in order to play it.
It's it's just not. Unless you have a way of very reliably casting it for free, and I can't think of one. But
Yeah. Is there a commander? What's the Joyra that gives things like suspend? but then you have to like get this, and you still have to
Oh
have.
God, no! We're moving on. We're moving on.
These ideas are gonna get really
Isn't a
bad.
suspend equal to their mana value? Is that what you're thinking
fuck.
of?
Yeah, but it loses a counter every turn, or 2 counters. Maybe.
Oh wow! So you just need to be able to ride it out for 10
Let's move
turns.
on. Let's move on. It's
I'm
bad.
trying to justify a lot today. All right, so our only green card is Invasion of Ikoria. This is X and 2 green with 6 loyalty. When Invasion of Ikoria enters the battlefield, search your library and/or graveyard for a non-human creature card with mana value X or less and put it onto the battlefield. Then if you search your library this way, shuffle. Its backside is Zavortha, Apex of Ikoria. This is a Reach 8/8 legendary creature dinosaur.
Godzilla.
It is, yeah. Oh my God, this is the Godzilla card. Yeah, this is the first time we actually got to see the card that Godzilla represented. Yeah. It says for each non-human creature you control, you may have that creature assign combat damage as though it weren't blocked. So we're never attacking this one. I don't know why I read the back.
Why would we not?
Because all of the value is the front.
The front is the main part.
It's a green. It's a situational is not the right word. It's a little bit more of a constricted finale of devastation that can't win the game with infinite mana. But it still is another way to get Seedborn Muse and down the line potentially be able to get some additional value if you happen to be able to deal 6 damage to it.
Yeah, I mean, when you say additional value, like in big flips Kinnan lists, like that upside on the back, like might let you kill a player if you can just put the damage through without being blocked.
That's true.
But I think it being Finale of Devastation in that it's sorcery speed, but without the win the game clause, is just makes it worse than Court of Calling. And I think we would be playing Court of Calling if we were going to play this.
I feel like
That's
if you want the unblockability, you should just play Sun Quan, Lord of Wu, and then give all your creatures horsemanship, which I think is a better thing to flip into.
Cameron, there's so many problems. First of all, that's a human. So
so that doesn't work. Yeah.
Also, I mean,
Cast that fucker. I don't know.
This card can also bring things back from the graveyard. That's relevant. Court
that is
can't
true.
do that.
That's
something true.
Extortionist is very good.
Yeah, 4 mana Dockside Extortionist. Another one is going to be good.
All right, so these are all of the multicolor cards that could be commanders because they all do things that are good in commander. So the first one is Zimone and Dina. This cost bug mana, black, green, and blue for a legendary creature, Human Dryad. It's a 3/4. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. You can also tap it to sack a creature, another creature, to draw a card and put a land into play. If you control 8 or more lands, repeat this process.
This can sacrifice a Protean Hulk.
I played against this on Playday.
Yeah.
And I stole the Protean Hulk out of the graveyard with a Portal to Phyrexia because I was playing Magda. So I guess I didn't really get to see it do its justice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is in good colors and does good things with Protean Hulk.
Yeah, it's reasonable, but not overwhelming.
His main issue is he has to wait a turn to sack Protean Hulk, which is probably going to make it not see play. And that top ability is just not going to come up a ton. And
But
when
guys,
it does, it doesn't matter.
But guys,
What?
Sylvan Library only costs 6 life then. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
Okay.
And you know what? The 8 lands clause to repeat the process did come up.
Yeah.
So
that's not
it's-
going to happen often.
No,
though,
but
right?
it did happen.
Okay.
So our next one is Drana and Linvala. This is 1 and 2 white and a black for a 3/4 legendary creature, Vampire Angel with flying and vigilance. It says activated abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated. Classic Linvala. And then Drana and Linvala has all activated abilities of all creatures your opponents control. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate those abilities.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Like, I will take your Thrasios activations. I'll take your Kinnan activations.
Your
I'll
Kiki
take-
Jiki activations.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, this one is, it's great. It's Linvala Plus. I think it's reasonable as a commander.
Was original Linvala also asymmetric like that?
Yes. It sure was. Yeah, it was also asymmetric like that. This card, I think, is going to see play in Blood Pod, and I'm not sure what other decks are just in Orzhov Stacks colors.
Is it a commander?
Asymmetrical.
Asymmetrical.
No, it's asymmetric. Because it's an adverb, and it's describing...
Are you certain?
Something can be
It's
asymmetric.
describing
That's
the
asymmetric.
effect.
The effect is asymmetric.
Yeah, it's an asymmetric effect.
I actually don't know.
I have no idea.
When you search asymmetric, it comes up as asymmetrical, but it looks like both are acceptable.
If you're stupid, you can say asymmetric, but if you're smart, you say asymmetrical.
I'm not trying to make that judgment. I just
I'm trying to make that
I
judgment.
know what you're not trying to do, but
Just gonna imply that the people at
Yeah.
home can make the judgment for themselves.
No, I'm not implying it either. I really don't know which one's
we
right.
know what the vibe is. We're all familiar.
This Linvala seems good. I think it'll see some play. I'm not sure how much play. As a commander, it doesn't provide card advantage, which stinks.
I'd rather play Tim in a Stacks commander deck.
Go, Tyler.
I'm so sorry I couldn't let this go.
That's okay.
It's UK versus US. Typically, asymmetric is UK usage. Asymmetrical is US.
Little British are you, Cameron?
Yes, you know that.
Top of the morning to you,
All
Governor.
right. I'm so sorry I
I
couldn't
would
let
like
it
a
go.
spot of tea.
No,
Tay?
really
Oh,
bad,
God.
really bad.
I don't fucking know. I'm not an actor. All right, Shalayan Halar is 1 red, green, and white for a 3/3 legendary creature, Angel Elf, with flying and vigilance. And whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, Shalayan Halar deals that much damage to target opponent. This card combos with the Ham Sandwich, the Red Terror,
Yep.
Heliod.
Emil and Dockside, since Emil gives stuff lifelink.
Yet there's just so many good things that you can do in these colors that this combos with.
This would be the second commander that we could have chosen for our gameplay videos and
Yep.
didn't. But
Yeah, surely.
might be stronger than
This one just is very comparable to a lot of other Naya decks. Bing Simbu and Rocco are all doing similar things. Is this better than those two options? I'm not sure, but it's in the same
I
camp.
gotta vote.
Give it to me.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
I think
I
what
think it's
you
better than Rocco.
Yeah, you don't think it's better than Rocco.
you don't think it. Wait, what are you saying?
I don't think this card is better than Rocco is.
Oh, good. We're on the same page. We're on the same page. I thought for a second you said the opposite, and I was gonna like push your chair over. But no, yeah, Rocco just has way too much flexibility, and the combo piece in the command zone is much worse than card advantage and combo piece in the command zone potentially.
I agree.
The last 4 cards we're going to talk about are the 4 commanders we're going to be playing in this Sunday's gameplay video that you're going to see. So the first one is Thalia and the Gitrog monster. So this is 1 a white, a black, and a green for a 4/4 human frog horror with first strike and death touch. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped, and when this attacks, you get to sacrifice a creature or land to draw a card.
The first ability, extra land, not going to come up a ton. The second ability, your stuff your opponents come in is tapped. What is it? Non-basic lands and creatures?
Creatures and non-basics.
And
This
it's your
comes up-
opponents, right?
Yes.
It's asymmetrical or asymmetric if you're from Britain. That one's
Every
gonna
single
come up.
British person unsubscribed from
Just
us
like, you
today.
fucking dumbass. Doesn't sound anything like a British accent. That second ability, that one's gonna come up a lot. Shutting off people's things is that one's gonna come up. The last one, potentially you can sack Protein Hulk. The only issue is this has to attack, so you have to wait a full circle, like the Sultai option, Dina and Simone. But this one I think is better because its other abilities do stuff.
Yes, I totally agree. It's a stacks piece, and you're in great stacks colors as well. So I think it's doing really everything that you want to do, a little bit better than Simone and Dina do it.
Yep. The comparison is this would probably be in like a Timna Kamal deck. Normally,
Yeah.
you'd play that deck that would be similar to it would be this one. So if you're just, it's in that same ballpark, I think.
The next one is Borborygmos and Fibblefip, the best team up in the multiverse. This is 2, a green, a blue, and a red for a Cyclops Homunculus. That's a 6/5. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you get to draw a card. Then you may discard any number of land cards. When you discard 1 or more land cards this way, Borborygmos and Fibblefip deal twice that much damage to target creature. You can also pay 1 and a blue to put Borborygmos and Fibblefip into its owner's hand. Into its owner's library, 3rd from the top.
You're playing this list, Tyler. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a food chain outlet. Like you're using it to draw your deck and then do something else that wins you the game once you have essentially drawn your whole deck. It is in fun colors. I happen to really like Teamer, but I don't think it's necessarily like much better than other food chain options. It's just interesting. You're probably not putting it into your deck 3rd from the top almost ever. I have yet to think of a reason that's good, to be honest.
Yeah, if you'd want to like protect it, I guess, but I feel like it's just better to recast it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you, in some world, are running Thoracle in this version of the list and then get stymied on your win attempt, like maybe it is the card that makes you draw and not lose the game.
It protects you from getting flooded, which is also kind of like fun, I guess.
That
if
is
you,
really nice.
Yeah, if you
Having
draw some
something to
extra
do with the lands
yeah,
is
that'll be fun.
Is relevant for
Yeah.
sure.
This commander is just fun for a lot of reasons, and it's really cool that they made it cEDH playable,
Yeah.
which I know was their intention when they made it. So the next deck that we're going to play is Kroxa and Kuranos. This is 3, a red, a white, and a black for an Elder Giant Dog. Best Best type line.
Yeah.
6/6 Vigilance, Menace, in Lifelink. And whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may exile 5 cards from your graveyard. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Yes.
Start. Roll
This
the
one,
tape.
yeah, this one is tricky. There's a combo with Altar of Dementia. With just this and Altar of Dementia, you can mill the 6 cards, and because of the way the wording is, you can exile the cards that you mill with the sacrificing from Altar of Dementia to basically keep going. You'll be able to mill through your entire library and eventually bring back
Fiend Hunter and Angel of
Glory's Rise brings back the Fiend Hunter, and then there is a Fiend Hunter loop that you can do to sacrifice and loop through milling your opponents by sacking stuff to the Altar of Dementia to mill your opponents.
the Fiend Hunter exiles the Angel, and then you sack the Fiend Hunter to altar. When Fiend Hunter leaves, the Angel comes back. When the Angel comes back, it returns Fiend Hunter. When Fiend Hunter enters, it exiles the Angel. Then you sack it to Altar of Dementia again.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
that is it. That was great. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That's basically what you do. So it
Thank you,
is
Daddy.
you need 6 mana for your commander, and then 2 more, and then casting of Altar of Dementia, and that's it. 1 card combo. That's pretty good. That's efficient. Mardu doesn't really have that, I don't think, yet anyway. You can cheat on the mana cost with Jewel Lotus, which is great for your commander. So I think this is an option. I definitely think this deck could do something.
Yeah, I think it's potentially a real deck for that reason, because you're in white, so you have access to a lot of the silence and protect my turn effects, Ranger Captain, whatever. So if you're able to stacks until you are ready to go, and then get the altar down on a turn that you can protect it or stop other people from interacting with you, because you have altar down, if you're running the creature stacks effects to slow everyone down until you're ready to win, then you can just sack them to the altar to get going, and then execute your entire combo off of altar.
Yeah, that is very true. That's not the version that we're playing,
No,
but
we're
that
trying to
is
go
a
a
way
little
to do
bit
it.
quicker.
You're on turbo.
Yeah, he actually
Yeah.
built the stacks version of the deck, and I said that we should change it to go as fast as possible. Both are definitely viable, though. For the reason you said, I think is would make a great stack. Also,
Yeah.
that this is just like a giant creature in a stalled out born state. This is going to be just like a helpful
With
huge
lifelink.
creature.
Vigilance
With
is
lifelink.
great,
Yeah.
and Menace is great,
Vigilance.
and Lifelink are all great. Like
You
these are
can
3
block.
things
Yep.
that you
Yeah.
wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, so this one I think is definitely considerable for a couple of different ways, I think.
We saved the best card for last.
Hell yeah.
So you really, if you stuck with us this whole time, you really get rewarded, because the last commander we're going to be playing is Yargle and Multani. This is finally a card that doesn't have a lot of text for me to read.
Yes.
This is 3, 2 black and a green for a Frog Spirit Elemental that's an 18/6.
Are you telling me you're not going to read the flavor text, Cameron?
I heard much about you from my daughter, Multani rumbled. There was a time when I balk at your aid, Phantom, but she has shown me the merit in Urborg's strange ways. Gnushgargle Fibble Ribbit, replied Yargle.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is a vanilla 18/6 for 5 mana. That's all it does. Hear my thoughts. Hear me
6
out.
mana.
Okay. 6 mana. Sorry, 6 mana, not 5 mana. It's not that good.
Much worse.
It's like a Sylvala. It's like a black-green Sylvala. You're looking to benefit off of a lot of cards like Life's Legacy that basically turn creatures with big power into a resource. Disciple of Bolus is another one. Sack a creature, great or good. Draw cards equal to power. It's playing a lot. The deck that I played is playing a lot of those. The Garrick Planeswalker. Basically, we're doing stuff that say draw cards equal to power, and we're drawing 18 cards every time. Hoping that's enough to chain some stuff together. Also, fun thing, 18 power is only 3 power away from 21, which is commander damage in cEDH. So I put a fucking giant growth in that motherfucker.
Did you really?
Absolutely. And I'm trying to one-shot
can't
someone
wait.
with the giant growth.
So you got it. You got to chump block this
You have
thing
to.
every
I'm
time,
gonna
because
kill
if
ya.
they have it, you're just
Yeah.
done.
You know, every once in a while, like if you're at a tournament, you'll see someone like selling their collection and stuff, and you're like, I wonder what happened to them. Like someone gets giant growth
Yeah.
and killed by a Yargle, and they just
Yep.
immediately sell their entire cEDH deck. Like
yeah.
I'm fucking done. Like,
Is it the next best cEDH deck? Probably not, but it's going to be in the ballpark of Sylvala, just like a fast kind of storm deck that can draw cards in 18 chunks at a time. And if you can do that 2 or 3 times on a turn, which theoretically is that's the goal, then you can probably win the game with like 40 or 60 cards in your hand.
I'm so torn because like I want you to lose all the gameplay videos because I want to win them, but like hearing the joy in your voice, like
the
I
potential
sort of
of
want this
what
for
could
you,
happen.
Dill. I'm
I'm
not gonna
so
lie.
hard for this deck. Like, is Shalayan Halar a better cEDH deck? Probably, but it doesn't have Yorgle and it has too much text on it. And this is oh my god, I'm so excited.
Or Rona, or Browsk, or Heliod, probably.
I'm hoping it does anything at all. But we have reanimation spells. Sack it, reanimate it, sack it again, draw. You know, it'll be good. It'll be good.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. So what cards did we miss? What cards do you think we'll see cEDH play in cEDH?
Let us know in those comments down below.
Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us directly, you can do so at Patreon, like our $100 patrons.
Baby Jeebus and Demon of Razgrees.
If you want to pick up any of our merch, like our sweet regular logo shirts, you can get them at playtowinmtg.com.
Thank you so much, Dragon Shield, for sponsoring the show. Make sure you go down to our affiliate link down below to check out the new Pandragon sleeves that you'll see on Sunday's gameplay.
Keep up with us on social media on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram if you'd like.
Thank you so much for watching.
See you next time.
Goodbye.
Anthony Mangelo.
AJ Alwasabi.
Stashes.
Mitchell Shepard.
Justin.
Man Solo.
Nicola Marakovic.
Steven Schlichty.
Big DP15.
That green guy.
Plantain Jackson.
Isaiah Brzezinski.
Metal Plays Games.
Windwave.
C.
Kawaja.
Jacob Depp.
Jan Wildfang.
Thomas Bueno.
Flampy McGee.
Lauren Connell.
David Nelson.
Hey, Jormax.
Just so you know, when you look at Tyler, it's just hair. That's fine, but just so you know.
It's just hair.
So if you do a tuck back so they can see your face, that's good. If you want to hide your face, also good. Like, look
How
at him
does
now.
it look right now with my hair
great.
tucked back in my ear?
If you look at him,
Yeah.
that looks
Now
good.
you got the side profile. Yeah.
But
Great,
it's totally
okay.
fine if it is down in your face.
What's the hairline look like
It looks-
with it like this? It looks normal, like a normal person's hairline.
As opposed to what?
When you say it like
What are you
that.
worried about there?
So it doesn't look like a normal. It
you
looks
see?
like my hairline.
So it doesn't look like an alien hairline, is what
see?
you're saying.
Yeah. Well, now I can't. But
Well, now I feel like you should do the full hair. I think it looks good. I think
No,
your
I'm
hair
gonna
looks
keep
good.
it like this.
But
Are
if
you
it
telling
falls
me
down, it's totally fine.
I look human or no?
Would you say that I look human overall right now or not?
Are my scales showing?
You guys can't see my horns, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, I think we're good. We're rolling. We're good.